Welcome back. It's been a while. In my time on focusing on my career instead of making videos, there has been nothing more entertaining to me than watching the pirate software drama unfold over the last 6 months. And I kept postponing this video because something new about the guy would pop up. But at this point, he is never going to stop. And for lack of a better term, is a lol cow to the highest degree. Now, for those who don't know, Pirate Software, or what I like to call him in the furry sex dungeon, Jason, is a former Blizzard employee, gay furry streamer, and inept game developer. He initially broke the mainstream with his YouTube shorts, where he painted himself as an authority on multiple subjects while being one in none. He rode this momentum all the way to the top, becoming a prominent figure on Twitch and using his newfound fame to silence any detractors. The status quo endured multiple controversies until one incident brought to light not just Jason's poor attitude, but also catalyzed an investigation into his life as a whole. Now, the inciting incident in question happened during a brutal wipe in a hardcore World of Warcraft raid. Jason had made a critical mistake, leaving his teammates behind. The result? 2 characters were permanently deleted. Now, we could summarize the aftermath by saying Jason refused to apologize, but that's a bit too convenient. Because when people reviewed the footage, it looked less like a panicked mistake and more like something premeditated. For those who don't know, he spammed his abilities so that his out-of-mana argument seemed true. He also hovered over the item that could give him said mana, which would have made his defense mute. This is all recorded, by the way, so this genius really didn't think this through. No, I think in both cases, this shows his ego was hurt when he was called out and didn't want to help his team survive. Which, to be clear, he could have helped them. All pro players have agreed upon it, and if you're arguing for this by now, you're a lost cause. The thing is, I don't really care. I don't care if someone's character dies in a game. I don't give a fuck about it. What the rest of the internet and I found interesting was the character suicide Jason committed after the incident. From this point onwards, Jason presented his true colors, and while I would love to go through every single case with you, my favorite part from this incident is his second conversation with the streamer Yamato. In the initial argument with Yamato, who is another player in the raid who survived, Jason became frustrated at Yamato interrupting him and leaves the call. A little later, the two reconnect to discuss the incident with fellow streamer Tyler1, who serves as a mediator. In the clip, Tyler gets on his knees to ensure they match his bright red lipstick, giving very little pushback to Jason, and even telling Yamato to shut up when he tries to chime in. Now, I'm going to speed up this clip to demonstrate just how much talking Jason did compared to Yamato.
Pirate, am I allowed to?
Oh, shut up, Yamato. Shut up. You already speak your piece. He gets to talk as well. Okay? Don't speak. What, Yamato? What do you want, man?
Let me say it again.
He already said his piece.
Pirate.
Go on.
Yeah, I want to speak to him because I didn't speak to him correctly. I said it again. We all did mistakes, bro. Like I didn't say, we are just blaming you. It's about the zero accountability is what makes us so mad, Pirate.
There's no zero accountability, dude. Everyone can do something better. But when you open up and you yell over another person like you were doing earlier, nah, I'm good.
You joined the call? See, like he's so egoistic. It's insane what this guy's ego is.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, Jason just left because Yamato interrupted him, something he just did to Yamato a second ago. Jason had all this time to get on his soapbox and cry, and even then, that wasn't enough for him. Now, this is still the beginning stages for Jason's downfall. So at the moment, bigger streamers like Tyler and Asmongold were defending him due to his status. But every chance Jason got, he deflected the blame. And instead of saying sorry, he continuously doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled down. He is a lost cause. So much so that he was kicked from the very same guild. He would then begin to deflect the criticism by claiming he is getting major death threats and that the whole situation was blown out of proportion. A claim that is unsubstantiated, since the proof he provided is flimsy at best. So no, Jason, people typing blink blink mana gem in your Twitch chat is not harassment. And even if they were real threats hidden in all the rage baiting, the simple fact is Jason is a liar. He gets caught in his lies so often that for the rest of the video, I'm going to present you with said countless lies that have popped up over his downfall. Jason's time at Blizzard can be described as nepotism at its finest. Now, despite what Jason claims, it's been dug up that he did little to no coding while working at Blizzard and was instead working as QA. You wouldn't know this since he plays fast and loose when describing his experience at the company. And he would even reply to this by saying,
I was watching a video that was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much. I literally never talk about it. When I worked at Blizzard, I did that for Blizzard. Blizzard, 7 years, yeah. Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Your red team specialist for Blizzard Entertainment. And Blizzard is having worked at Blizzard. I grew up at Blizzard. Blizzard, game industry for Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard. Yeah, no, I worked at Blizzard back when I used to work at Blizzard, when I was at Blizzard. For those who don't understand, I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. I know how to do that because I worked at Blizzard. Example of this when I was at Blizzard. How do you know so many things? I worked at Blizzard for 7 years. I don't think I'm better than other people. I do think that it's funny because you key on that. There's a lot of people that brought that up. And it's like, I never said that I was. I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting. When in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase.
Sure.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this.
Yeah.
That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro.
I actually am the first second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee ever. The first second-generation Blizzard employee. First second-generation Blizzard employee. So I'm second-generation Blizzard. I'm the first second-generation Blizzard employee that ever existed in the company. I'm also a second-generation Blizzard employee. I was a second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee ever. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee. And I love that shit. I love that company. Working for Blizzard sucked, and I work at Blizzard. Or I worked at Blizzard. There's me eating a sandwich. Yeah, that was actually at Blizzard. I think it was my first, I think it was 2009. It was me picking a safe. It was me cracking a safe at Blizzard. Your Blizzard stories are fake? Which Blizzard story do you think is fake? Would you like to talk to me or my dad that worked at Blizzard for 23 years that's currently in chat? Which one do you want?
Even if we forgive his muddling of the facts, there has been ex-coworkers of Jason who shine a better light on his time at Blizzard. One ex-coworker recounted on a forum, Thor was my coworker. For about a year in Blizzard, he was the only QA who demanded a 3-monitor display setup because he needed it for coding. But it was actually a dedicated display for Reddit and YouTube. He would sit idle and test clients in another display while fucking around and posting on various forums with the third. He frankly didn't do anything but soak a paycheck and didn't do shit about fuck. The poster also mentioned Jason's father when describing why his lack of contribution and problematic behavior was ignored for so long, commenting, "It's kind of weird because Joey Ray is a friend of mine. I have respect for him because he really is one of the oldest employees at Blizzard and was never problematic, like so many of the other old guard at the company." Pathetically, this was Thor's shield against getting written up. I wasn't the only one who noticed that he not only didn't do any work, but he knew nothing about testing as a general practice, and the game itself. Management would remark that they simply couldn't do anything about it, but move him from team to team. So not only was Jason not a coder, he was a horrible waste of space who, by his words earlier, was the first second-generation Blizzard employee. Truly a testament to how great he is. Stop Killing Games is an initiative that is a consumer-led campaign launched in April 2024 by YouTuber Ross Scott. The initiative demands that publishers must preserve the playability of online-dependent games, requiring features such as offline modes or permission for private server hosting after official support ends. It's actually a decent initiative, and there are some games that I play that are able to still run because the developers took the extra step to provide private server functionality. What's Jason's take on this?
It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
So not only does Jason not like the initiative, but he also makes it clear that he does not like Ross himself. Now, from his tone, you might think Jason is well versed on the subject. I mean, you would have to be this dismissive. But a video released later by Ross demonstrates Jason had not only negatively affected the movement as a whole, but also misrepresented the initiative while doing so. Luckily, Ross's reply video did get a huge boost in attention for the initiative and was able to far surpass the initiative's target goal. So at the very least, this story has a silver lining, one I might add that Jason attempted to take credit for. So yes, despite multiple streamers saying he was in the wrong, Jason has yet to truly admit to anything. Another point of contention is the progress he has made in developing his video game. His game Heartbound has been playable on Steam since December 2016 in early access, and has continued to be unfinished to this day. So we're almost at the 9-year mark, with an original delivery date on the Kickstarter being November 2017. There was even a period of time that Steam had labeled the game as abandoned software. Jason remedied this by making an update adding a font. So don't worry guys, he's grinding. Eventually, the code for Heartbound began to be reviewed by people who actually have experience in coding, and they all made it very clear that Jason has no idea what he was doing.
This is also a complete mess for a couple of reasons. First of all, Thor is using the incorrect data types. This isn't even getting to some sort of advanced design or design pattern. It's showing a complete lack of understanding how to represent information in a program.
Jason's main argument was that his code was bad on purpose, and it was meant for fans to dig into his code as an alternate reality experience where people can pick up important info on the story. Of course, this would be proven false, as Jason himself had used something called magic numbers in his code. Now, what you need to know is these magic numbers represent assets in the game. The issue is you would have a hard time finding out what each number represents without a glossary of sort. This is not recommended by experts in the field because it makes the development process clunky and tedious when making changes. It also makes it very hard for anyone but the creator himself to learn and adjust the code at a reasonable pace. So Jason had made the argument that his code was written poorly for the fans, but had also written it so that even someone who is experienced in coding would not be able to easily read it. Despite everything I have just said, Jason has explicitly stated that his code is actually efficient and easy to work with, and it's actually the writing in the game that has caused all the delays. He has even lied and said that the reason it takes so long is that the game is written in 6 languages, by him of course. So what do you think, after everything I told you about this guy? Do you think he speaks 6 languages that he has never once used while streaming? Or do you think he's just pulling a reason out of his ass that makes his long development time look reasonable while also bolstering his own capabilities? Another reason he brought up was that he was just too sick to work on the game due to COVID. His claim was later proven false, as people were able to build a timeline by using his own tweets and live streams. So no, Jason did not have lung damage from COVID that prevented him from working on the game, and his confessions were enough to prove it. The cold reality is that Jason just likes streaming more than he does developing his game, which is totally reasonable. The issue is Jason has made a promise to deliver a product, and it's become clear to everyone that it's going to be a while. He also wants to be considered an expert in coding and game development while being the expert in neither. Jason fakes his voice. On stream, he puts the bass settings higher to elicit a deeper voice while also speaking lower as a whole. People do this when they are self-conscious, and while most drop the act and accept that it is a natural part of them, Jason obviously cannot. He instead has made the most insane claim that he had gone through a second puberty, something that is not real. And just for fun, I'm going to provide a clip of his actual voice.
Went back to the doctor. Doctor's like, hey, sometimes in your early 30s, your voice can change as a man, and it's effectively second puberty. This is what I used to sound like. That's what I used to look like to this 5 years ago. Wait for this. This is awful.
My hot dogs are freshly picked. I'm going to have to peel it. I'm going to have to peel my hot dog.
Yeah, that was it, dude.
Every good hot dog needs to be peeled.
So if everything above hasn't convinced you that this guy is a literal human stain, I just wanted to finish this video with a machine gun of examples, because even after all this, there is still so much that I still haven't covered. So if you're still interested in the epic that is Jason, there are a ton of videos going into more detail and do a much better job covering every single aspect of the story. Now, you know that coworker I mentioned earlier in the video? Well, they actually became roommates for a couple months. Why so short? Well, the roommate says, from the first day after moving in, he had made the kitchen a literal pigsty. All pans would be constantly used and left dirty, usual with food remnants intact, dishes and utensils everywhere, sink full, filth all over the stove, and counters. I also had a new patent leather chair that his totally non-destructive cat started scratching to hell the same day he moved in. And he only ever offered to tape up the chair. There was no correction to make the cat scratch anything but the chair. No scratcher was provided, no supervision in the common area, nothing. He even tried to gaslight me by insisting the chair was already scratched up. 0 pets had touched that apartment before he moved in. I asked that he replace the $100 chair since all surfaces were destroyed, and he insisted taping it was fine. He didn't do either. He He would stay up playing EVE Online, screaming till late at night. He never put a shower curtain in his bathroom, so the floor was dirty and spotty from pooling water. The bathroom countertop, which took up the whole wall, was covered in ash. His bedroom was filled with trash, and the walls were smeared with what the author described as cum or snot or both. The poster would then recount how Jason's unhealthy lifestyle has caused some health issues for our guy, and how Jason would claim that it was actually cancer and use it for social media sympathy. And FYI, the poster did provide pictures and chat messages supporting the majority of these claims. He has also taken down multiple criticisms and has threatened legal action on many. My favorite case being when he threatened to sue a smaller game developer for making fun of him. This was then picked up by an actual lawyer who offered pro bono work to the game developer. The funniest thing about this incident was that Kronos, Thor's personal lawyer, air quotation marks, doesn't even live in the US, and in fact does not practice law anywhere in this known reality. Then there's the final most disgusting thing about him. He's a furry. There are private DMs released where he and another man are flirting in character, describing how he likes dog knots. Are you interested in what that means? You can look it up. I also just want to mention that Jason runs a ferret sanctuary, which is nice at first glance, until you realize that he roleplays in sexual fantasies as an anthropomorphic ferret. I'm not accusing him of doing anything to those little guys, but it does feel wrong not to mention how uncomfortable this is when he identifies as a ferret. So finally, to give this video some sort of finality, Jason is entitled, dishonest, incompetent, slow-witted, lazy, everything. And for lack of a better way, putting it the perfect embodiment of what a human shouldn't be. And that's why we love him, warts and all. He's my little goblin. And I hope, actually, I don't hope. I know he's going to keep going. This guy's my fucking hero, okay? And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. I'm going to be posting more videos after this. I'm pretty much back to the swing of things. So yeah, I hope you all have a great day and look forward to the next video.